Hi everyone, this is Rhonda Rawlings, and I am so honored to be sitting here with the legendary Mr. Charles Atchinson Sr. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
You are wonderful. It's such a pleasure to be with you. And I was driving into Spartanburg today and following my GPS on getting to your office, and I looked up and the street said Charles Atchinson Sr. Boulevard. So I said, you know what, I guess I'm in the right place.
Yeah, I believe so.
What an honor that is to have a street named after you for all of your amazing and incredible and entrepreneurial work that you've done over the years.
It's been wonderful to me. I've tried to do my best since I started my business back in the many years ago. I was young, and friends was not that easy with me because I didn't have time to be bothered with them. I had to work. And that went on real well, except when I finally got the contract at Greenwood Airport. I was really busy, and sometimes I'd have to go out and work myself many times. And if there was a snow or ice or something on the ground, I'd have to go out and help them. And that made that distance a little bit further away from me. But anyway, I enjoyed every bit of it. I was the first and the only black inside business at the Greenwood Airport.
Wow. And so Mr. Atchison is the founder of Atchison Transportation. Now, the business started 72 years ago. So this year is your 72nd anniversary for Atchison Transportation. And what was the inspiration behind starting the company?
Wanting to be self-employed. Wanting to be self-employed. It actually started as Yellow Deluxe Cab.
Okay.
And back in those days, when it started, it was 10 cents during the day and 25 cents at night.
10 cents during the day and 25 cents at night for a taxi.
Yep. That was at the end of Camp Crawford here. And Spartanburg had somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 taxi cabs. So my idea was to start my company and get real close to the city of Spartanburg to not sell any more license, because we had near 300 licenses. And I got close to the city council and I talked to them. We can't stay in business with all these taxi cabs, so they would not sell any more license. And that gave me a chance to get started. Started with one taxi cab, and 3 years later I probably had 15. And then I went to the man who owned Deluxe Cab at that time and tried to buy it from me. So I don't want to sell my business. I said, I just don't want to go in competition with you. I wanted to give you the opportunity to be part of me. And he negotiated that a little while and said, well, I'll go ahead and sell it to you. You're young and you're after everything you can get. I said, that's right.
Wow. So you were really a visionary looking down the line and saying, you know, this is too much. The area is oversaturated.
Yes.
And I want to provide this one service that people look to when they think of transportation.
Yeah.
And I think people today, 72 years later, they think about Atchison Transportation when they think about needing a transportation service. And we have to say, Mr. Atchison is 92 years young, and he is still working. He is still a visionary. But back then, what was some of the obstacles for you starting your own business? Because entrepreneurship right now is seeing really a boom. But back then, it was much harder, especially for African Americans. So what was some of the barriers that you faced?
It was the number of units was on the street and the price. So I went through 2 or 3 different directions that there was entirely too many taxi cab licenses in the city of Spartanburg since Camp Crawford has closed. So I negotiated with the city council not to sell any more license. And try to negotiate a way to have less taxi cabs and do a better service, and raise the rate from 10 cents in the day and 25 cents at night.
You said that rate had to go up.
It had to go up, but they had to get rid of some of the taxi cabs. I thought about that, and I was at the cab office with Mr. Whitmire, who owned it, and the phone rang, and Kraft drugstores had that delivery service, but it wasn't good, and they wouldn't come to work and all this kind of thing. So the owner called me and asked me if I'd come by there, and I said yeah. And I set up a delivery service for the Kraft drugstores. I think they had about 5 at that time, and I got away from that 10 cents business, so I would deliver packages for 50 cents.
You worked your way up to 50 cents. Okay.
And that was a start out with 50 cents. And I would use my taxi cabs to help me out when we got short. So we did that for years. And so I stayed with Kraft drugstores, and I was getting $1 to deliver every package. And that was for 20 years.
Wow, wow.
So I had to buy the little cars to do it, and not taxi cabs. But at night, we'd use taxi cabs because the trucks that we had making deliveries were out of time. And Charles would get in there and do it too now. So that was part of my growth. Back in those days, you need somebody who appreciates what you do and know you're going to do a good job. So that was part of my start in the taxi cab business, and that went along for many, many years, and I started buying other cab companies, and I'd keep them for 30 or 60 days, and I'd close them down. And when I closed them down, the city would not issue any more licenses. So we worked with that till we got down to 75 taxi cabs.
Wow, wow. And so did you have a role model in business, somebody that you looked up to, or when you were younger, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was there someone that you saw that ran a business or ran a company and you said, you know what, I can do that?
I started with one, and I figured I could do better. Because when I left New York, you couldn't walk down the street and there's 15 cabs running over you.
Very true.
So that's where I got my start from, was from New York.
Okay. Now, did you go to school for business, or you were self-taught? Okay. And how did New York come into it?
You go across the street in New York, 50 cabs would almost run over you.
Right, but how did you get to New York from? How did you end up in New York?
I left Payne College and went to New York.
Okay. And so that the taxi cab sort of stuck in your head. And
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So as I stated earlier, there are so many young people right now, and older people, who realize that either they need a second form of income or they want to be an entrepreneur and self-employed as their main form of income. What type of advice could you give to someone who is interested in owning their own business?
Have some experience, be able to create experience of what you're going to do. And starting a business, you can't go in halfway. You got to be uptight to do it.
Okay. You have to be, listening to your story, you were very intentional. You were very hands-on. You were a person that looked down the line and not just at the current moment, to know what your business needed in order to succeed and to do really well.
I had a feeling that one tax care was not going to be enough, and two's not going to be enough, and I'm going to slow down at 15. So I had already purchased 15 before I bought the business from Mr. Whitmer.
Okay. Okay. Well, I could talk to you all day long, but I just want to let you know that so many of us appreciate you. We appreciate what you've done in the upstate. You can tell there's a street named after you, Charles Atchinson Senior Boulevard in Spartanburg. So I want people to come and see that sign and take a picture of it and post it all over social media, because that is a big deal. And we appreciate your work. And I have something here for you. It is from Black History USA. We want to present you, Black History USA wants to present you with the 2022 BlackHistoryUSA.com Community Award for Mr. Charles E. Atchison Sr. So thank you so much for all you've done. We didn't know how much more we could do because, as I keep saying, you have a whole street named after you, and the building we are in right now is Atchison Enterprises. When I pulled up, I was just so proud to see that, knowing all the work that you have done over the years. So please accept this. And we hope that you will display it proudly because we are so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So please go to BlackHistoryUSA.com. You can read more about Mr. Atchison Sr. and so many other amazing individuals that we have featured in the calendar. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.